We see the NFL as pretty black and white. When a quarterback is a bust, we tend to throw them to the side and assume they never would have made it in this league. Sometimes that's true, but what we don't recognize is how circumstantial this game really is. When a quarterback is a bust, it can be for several reasons. They weren't willing to put in the work, they couldn't keep up with the speed of the NFL, or their health simply worked against them. It could be all of those reasons together. However, sometimes a quarterback is screwed from the second they're drafted. Not because they aren't an NFL caliber quarterback, but because their franchise mishandles their development and or puts them in no position to succeed. Playing quarterback is extremely difficult, and it takes a reasonable amount of time to develop into a good one, so when those crucial early years are squandered by a bad team, you can ruin any chance they had to succeed. This is how you ruin a young quarterback. We all know that great quarterbacks elevate the play of those around them. However, when they're young, it's best to get them a weapon that can bail them out instead of relying on them to instantly make all the plays. Deshaun Watson had DeAndre Hopkins. Patrick Mahomes had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Mitchell Trubisky had, Kendall Wright, Josh Bellamy, and Dontrell Inman as his top three receiving options for his rookie year. Don't take this as an excuse for Trubisky being the way he is, but an example as to what some NFL teams are giving their rookie quarterbacks to work with. How about Jared Goff? Rookie season, Kenny Britt, Tavon Austin, Lance Kendricks. He finished the season with pretty bad stats and left the fans with an uncomfortable feeling going into the next season. Enter Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Sammy Watkins, and let's double the targets for Todd Gurley for extra measure. We see one of the fastest turnarounds in NFL history for both Goff and the Rams. It's not ideal to rely on receivers considering their cost, but with a young quarterback, it's more than worth it to have a guy that can act as a security blanket or a playmaker. Just give them targets. This is another easy one, and to fairness of NFL teams, building a good offensive line isn't easy. However, drafting a quarterback when your line up front is in a state of decay is asking to ruin them. And there's no better example for this than comparing the careers of the Carr brothers. Derek Carr was a second-round pick to the Oakland Raiders in 2014. These Raiders teams always dedicated resources to the offensive line. Guys like Donald Penn, Gabe Jackson, Kalichi Asmeli, Rodney Hudson, Trent Brown. A lot of these guys were really good, and some of them were elite. And as a result, Derek Carr had legs to stand on as rookie and saw immediate success. The Raiders even made a genuine playoff run in 2015 before Derek Carr broke his leg. Sans 2015, Derek has never been that great, but he's carved out a really good starting career for a second-round pick out of Fresno State. Unlike brother David, he had the opposite career. David was a highly touted quarterback prospect, also out of Fresno State, and he would go first overall to the new upstart Houston Texans. They killed him. The Texans had a very rough inception to their franchise, and David Carr paid the price. In his first 3 seasons, brother Derek was sacked 71 times. David Carr was sacked 75 times in his rookie season alone. Going further, in his first 6 seasons, Derek was sacked 171 times in 94 games. Conversely, in his first 6 seasons as well, David was sacked 262 times over 80 games. The elder Carr owns 2 of the top 3 most sacked seasons in NFL history. This is a clearly talented family, but we'll never know if David could have had a solid career. We could only assume not, because that's how it went. Deshaun Watson, also of the Texans, was sacked 62 times as a sophomore quarterback. Now, we can put some of the blame on him because of his play style, but at the same time, the Texans' offensive line was terrible. At least he could hook it up to DeAndre Hopkins. Ryan Tannehill had a promising start to his Titans career. His Dolphins career, not so much. He was sacked 58 times as a sophomore, and he never panned out with his first franchise. Some quarterbacks can move better than others, and sack numbers aren't always on the offensive line, but adequate protection is necessary if a young quarterback is to succeed. They know they need to get the ball out, and they know they'll be hit regardless, so focusing on the play, the linebackers and safeties, their footwork, should all come before wondering if they're going to get clobbered repeatedly. So mitigating some of that concern into proper pass protection can do wonders for them. Learning an NFL playbook is extremely difficult, especially for players in their early 20s. They have to know the right verbiage, convey it, understand it, and know exactly where the other 10 players are going to be and when. while reading the defense at the same time. For that reason, growing with a playbook year to year with a consistent coordinator that understands it and helps the young quarterback along the way is huge. So naturally, that rarely happens. Alex Smith was the poster child for this. Drafted first overall in 2005, Smith never had a returning offensive coordinator or offense until 2010 with Jimmy Ray, who was fired a quarter of the way into the next season. 7 seasons, 7 different offensive coordinators, 7 different offenses. So it shouldn't have been much of a surprise when Alex Smith became a pretty good quarterback when he got any form of continuity with the Chiefs and Andy Reid. So who's in danger of the same fate right now?
Fuck.
Well, that's what happened to Marcus Mariota when his Titans stint didn't work out. Now joining the Raiders, he will be on his 5th new offense in his 6th season of his career. Baker Mayfield is currently going into year 3 on his 3rd offensive coordinator.
Hell yeah, put him up there, hell yeah. You guy's an idiot.
But no one is being Alex Smithed as hard as Josh Rosen. It goes beyond the 2 teams and 2 seasons thing, but yes, assuming he's traded this offseason as well, he's expected to be on team 3 in 3 years, but he never had any consistency in college either. His first year starting was under head coach Jim Mora and offensive coordinator Noel Mazzone. Mazzone left for Texas A&M after the season. Second year as a starter was under offensive coordinator Kennedy Palomalu, who was promoted in-house. His contract was not renewed after the season. Rosen's final season at UCLA saw Jedd Fisch start as offensive coordinator and finish as interim head coach after Jim Mora was fired a month into the season. So maybe the NFL would be better for Josh Rosen. No. Cardinals rookie year, offensive coordinator Mike McCoy. Fired halfway through the season. Enter interim Byron Leftwich. The whole staff would be fired after the season, but that didn't matter because Rosen was shipped off to Miami, where he'd play in Chad O'Shea's offense. For those not keeping track at home, that's 6 offensive coordinators in 5 seasons of football. But that's football, where continuity is hard to find in a what have you done for me lately league, where young quarterbacks should consider themselves lucky if they get any of the aforementioned benefits. Some defy the odds, some crumble to circumstance, some sit right in the middle and flourish when everything comes together for them. Some greats never even get there. Just remember that the blame shouldn't solely be on the shoulders of every quarterback that doesn't make it when they had high expectations, but a combination of issues that led to their downfall. Some of them did just suck though.